third. Fourth is Russell Spence. In fifth place, Tim Davis. And sixth, a tie between Mike Taylor and Andy Wallace. So with this fifth and final race for the Grandstand Trophy, Murray Walker reports from Brands Hatch.
The man who wins the Grandstand Trophy is a man to watch, for Formula Ford 2000 leads to Formula 3, and that can lead to Formula 1 and Grand Prix stardom. One of the top men here at Brands is Russell Spence, 1983 European champion, ambitious and confident.
Yes, it matters very much from a personal point of view that I win. I mean, practice this morning has been very much a lottery affair. The only last two laps, the circuit was getting drier all the time, so the last two laps really mattered. Unfortunately, we got balked on both of them. So the grid it's going to make for very good television because the grid's split up.
Where are you on the grid, Ross?
I'm fourth on the grid, but I should be leading by the time we get in the paddock.
Damon Hill, son of the great Grahams, just starting his career.
Initially I thought maybe I might have difficulty keeping my neck above water, but now I'm really enjoying it. It's great, and I'm really pleased to be doing it.
Anthony Reid is second in the championship and could win it, even though he's down in 15th place on the starting grid.
I've got to make a very good start and hope the circuit's dry, because this car goes very well. And, well, I hope Julian will finish worse than fourth. I need him to finish worse than fourth if I'm to win.
So what are going to be your tactics in the race?
Keep out of trouble, make a very good start, and just go hell for leather.
Anthony will have to do that to beat Julian Bailey, who commandingly leads the championship. And what if he wins it?
Well, I would like to do Formula 3 if possible next year, but I realise that maybe my experience isn't, I'm still not capable of that. So I may do 2000 again, hopefully European Championship as well.
So, a tremendously successful BBC TV Grandstand Trophy Formula Ford 2000 series draws to its conclusion here on a superb day at Brands Hatch. On my right here is the man in pole position, Neil Bettridge. Here is Julian Bailey leading the championship. But back there on the second row, the two danger men, number 13, Mike Taylor, and number 23, Russell Spence. And right at the back in the fifth row, the only man that can beat Bailey for the championship, Anthony Reid. It's going to be a tough race. But at the last moment, an inspired move by Bailey's team, specially heated tyres for better grip. 20 laps to go for the Grandstand Trophy, £1,000 and a chance to attract a sponsor for 1984. A superb start by Julian Bailey, who fairly rockets into the lead at Paddock Bend. And out of it, following Bailey, it's Mike Taylor, Russell Spence, Neil Bettridge, Andy Wallace and Kenny Andrews. Round Druids they go. And as they stream out and down to Graham Hill Bend, bringing up the rear, number 94, Martin Wood. Down to Surtees Bend, and it's Bailey there, then the yellow car of Mike Taylor, Russell Spence, Neil Bettridge, Andy Wallace, round into McLaren, then into Clark Curve, and out of it, there's Bailey, Taylor, Spence, Bettridge in the orange car, and Andy Wallace into lap 2. And Bailey's certainly making the most of those warm tyres and his superb Reynard car. Look at him, sliding it round Paddock, rocketing up Halewood Hill into Druids. Second, look for the yellow car of Taylor. Russell Spence still third. But now, number 15, Andy Wallace has gone up to fourth position ahead of Neil Bettridge. And as they exit Graham Hill Bend, there is Wallace with Russell Spence. Russell Spence now down in fourth position, up to Clark Curve. This is the end of lap 2. Bailey leads, Taylor through, Spence and Wallace, then Bettridge. And there is number 38, Anthony Reid. He is up to 11th place as the leaders go into lap 3. Julian Bailey well away. Taylor, Spence, Wallace, Bettridge in 5th position. The course almost totally dry now, still 1 or 2 wet patches off the racing line. Down to Graham Hill Bend, from Graham Hill Bend up to Cooper Street, into Surtees, then the right-hander at McLaren, then the continuation of that, Clark Curve, and that is Mike Taylor in the yellow Reynard with Wallace behind him, and Wallace is up into third position ahead of Russell Spence. Andy Wallace is in third position. There's John Bright, number 68. And they go through now into lap 4 to Paddock Bend. And it's Taylor second, Wallace third. Bettridge is ahead of Spence. And there's Reid up into 8th position. Anthony Reid up into 8th position from 15th. And somebody's gone off there. But now Julian Bailey is 4 seconds ahead in his Reynard on lap 4. Taylor second, Wallace third, Bettridge fourth in the Argo. Then it's Russell Spence in 5th position. Kenny Andrews and John Bright. There's the second, third, fourth, 5th men. And where is Anthony Reid? There he is in the Argo. Anthony Reid in the Argo, going through in 8th position. Into lap 5 now, these 2-litre cars with their slick tyres and wings going superbly. Taylor, Wallace, Bettridge, look for the orange car, and Bettridge is gone through, and there is Reid, right up with John Bright now. Anthony Reid is scything his way through, and there is the battle for second position. Mike Taylor and Andy Wallace. Mike Taylor, the 36-year-old printer from Warlingham, goes over the line, and 1 second covers the second to 5th place men. Round Paddock, Taylor, Wallace, Bettridge, Spence, up Harewood Hill. And Russell Spence is challenging, and he goes through on the inside. He passes Bettridge to take 4th position. Well, and there goes Reid. That's Anthony Reid in 7th position. He's passed John Bright, so he's gone from 15th to 7th by lap 6. McLaren, Bettridge closing up, and he's trying to go through and take 4th position from Spence, but Spence will have nothing of it. Russell Spence, the European champion, fights back, holds his 4th position. They come out of Clark Curve. Taylor, Wallace, Spence, Bettridge and Andrews absolutely together, and there's a penalty there for Steve Kempton and Tony Hancock as the leaders go into Paddock and on to Druids. And Kenny Andrews is trying for 5th past Bettridge. Bettridge has got the line though for Druids, keeps it tight into the apex, leads away through as Taylor and Wallace, and then Spence and Bettridge and Andrews. And where is Anthony Reid? Anthony Reid's gone through in 7th position now. On they go. You can see how the circuit is drying out, but it's getting late in the afternoon now. The sun is going down as Taylor and Wallace and Spence and Bettridge and Andrews and Reid absolutely together go through, completing lap 7. Taylor, Wallace, that's how close it is for second place, into Paddock. And look at the next 4. You can hardly separate them with the stopwatch. And Anthony Reid is closing right up now. Anthony Reid is closing up. He's in 6th position at the moment as they go down to Graham Hill Bend. Now, there is Julian Bailey clearing Clark Curve, and you can see the lead he's got. It's about 6 seconds now. And that's Bettridge off at Clark Curve. He's going behind the marshal's post. I have never seen that in all my life. Neil Bettridge goes off behind the marshal's post, rejoins behind John Bright down to 8th position, and that means to say that Andrews and Reid have gone through to 5th and 6th. Into lap 9 now. Bailey, Taylor, Wallace, Spence, Andrews and Reid is the order, and there are Taylor and Wallace 2nd and 3rd. It's still damp off the racing line. Out of Druids. Round they go. You can see it's damp on the left. And they're all keeping on the dry as they go down into Graham Hill Bend, on towards Surtees and McLaren, on towards Clark Curve to complete another lap. And the circuit is clear. But not for long. Off goes Tony Hancock in the Reynard. He spins. Now, has he kept the engine running? That's Tony Hancock well down in the field and much further down now because they're streaming past him, but he has kept the engine running, accelerates away back into the race. And Julian Bailey is on his way at Clark Curve to his third win in 5 races, and he finished second in the other 2. Double points in this race. There is Anthony Reid. He's right up now with Russell Spence. He's in 5th position as John Bright, number 68, goes through. And there's Bettridge, 8th after his spin. Lap 10. Bailey through. He's leading now by 7 seconds. It's Taylor and Wallace, second and third. And there is Anthony Reid in 5th position, closing up on Russell Spence. Up to Druids. Taylor and Wallace out of it, second and third. And Andy Wallace, the gas engineer from Oxford, is hanging on to the Wallingham printer every inch of the way. If Mike Taylor puts a wheel wrong, Andy Wallace will be through and up into second. There is Taylor clearing Clark Curve. Now, where are Russell Spence, 23, and Reid, 38? There they are. Reid now tucked up behind the wing of Russell Spence's car, over the line, and Andy Wallace is trying for second. Mike Taylor on the inside. Andy Wallace nearly hits Martin Wood's car, clears it miraculously. They go up Hailwood Hill. What a terrific scrap for second place. What a terrific scrap behind them too for 4th position. And there they are, Russell Spence and Anthony Reid. And Anthony Reid is ahead of Spence. Anthony Reid has moved up. He is in 4th position. What an incredible drive by this young man. 15th to 4th. They go through now, completing lap 11. Taylor and Wallace over the line, second and third. Anthony Reid, now can he do anything about them? There's quite a gap, look for him. Number 38, there he is. There's Spence behind him and Bettridge behind him. As Taylor and Wallace go out of Druids. Wallace is trying desperately to get that second place from Mike Taylor. Mike Taylor, number 13, 36 years old. There's Anthony Reid pulling away now from Russell Spence. They're out of Clark Curve and Wallace is taking second place. And Mike Taylor's in trouble. He gesticulates from the cockpit. Something has happened. He's blown an engine or perhaps a gearbox, and Anthony Reid goes through to third. Mike Taylor is out seemingly. Anthony Reid is up into 3rd place. And he's gaining on Andy Wallace. Are we going to see Anthony Reid as Mike Taylor drives out of the race? Are we going to see Anthony Reid catch Andy Wallace, number 15? Look how close it is. 22-year-old Andy Wallace, 26-year-old Anthony Reid. Anthony Reid, the Jim Russell Racing Drivers School scholarship winner in 1977. And there's Mike Taylor driving out of the race into the pits. As Julian Bailey goes up to Druids, he's closing up on Tony Hancock that we saw in trouble earlier on. He's going to lap him later on in this lap, and this is lap 14. Up to Druids goes Anthony Reid, and behind him Andy Wallace. And Julian Bailey goes past Hancock to lap him, coming up to the end of lap 14 in this 20-lap Grandstand Trophy race. Bailey on his way to double points. He doesn't really need them. It looks as though he's going to win the championship by a crushing margin. Into lap 15. Julian Bailey fairly flying along. 22 years old, comes from Blackheath. Russian Green Racing is his team. And he won the Formula Ford Festival in 1982. And that is Mike McConaughey. And behind him, it's Wallace and Reid. Wallace in second place. Reid now in 3rd position with Mike Taylor out of the race, and that's how close it is. And they're closing up on a couple of tail enders. Nipping through on the inside. Good manners here today. They're moving over and letting the lead men through. Andy Wallace goes through, past Mike McConaughey in a moment. Anthony Reid right behind him. Over the line, and that is Mike Taylor, first at Hockenheim, first at Holland, and second for so long in this race. But there is Julian Bailey, coming up now to lap David Palmer in the yellow Van Diemen. two cars together, and it's Wallace and Reid second and third. Graham Hill Bend down the hill into the left-hander. And Andy Wallace still holding that second place, but you can see now that he's not very far ahead of Anthony Reid. And behind them in fourth and fifth places, it's still Russell Spence and Kenny Andrews. Now there's a tail-ender in front of them. They've got to lap in. There's Spence. There is Andrews. And there is Julian Bailey, leading by 10 seconds now. He has lapped David Palmer in the yellow Van Diemen. And the battle in this race now, the real excitement, is between Andy Wallace and Anthony Reid. Reid started 15th on the grid. He's right up with the second place man after a meteoric drive. There they go, Wallace and Reid. There's Reid, the man who worked at Sullom Voe to get money to go racing, and he's certainly justifying every penny of it. He's right on the rear wing now of Andy Wallace. There's McConaughey. And there is Julian Bailey, lap 19. And Wallace and Reid go into Paddock Bend absolutely together. Reid is taking the wide line, and he cuts across, and he's going to take him. He's going to take Wallace and Aylward Hill. And he does it. Anthony Reid has gone through into second position. He can't win the championship because the championship leader is number one there, Julian Bailey. And he is undoubtedly going to win the championship if he wins this race. But Anthony Reid is driving superbly as Julian Bailey, the race leader, goes across the line with about a mile to go now. And there is Reid in second place into his last lap. Bailey at Druids, that tight, demanding first gear right-hander. And then Reid and Wallace second and third. Up Aylward Hill for the last time, into Druids Hill Bend for the last time, down to Graham Hill Bend for the last time. Julian Bailey leads into McLaren and Clark Curve to make it 3 wins and 2 seconds in 5 races if he just does the last couple of 100 yards. And there in the white helmet, Anthony Reid, and behind him Andy Wallace fighting for second position as Julian Bailey crosses the line to win the Grandstand Trophy. But who is going to be second as Bailey rounds paddock, touring in? It's Anthony Reid second. It is Andy Wallace in third position, Russell Spence fourth, and Kenny Andrews fifth. Well, a magnificent win for Julian Bailey, but an incredible drive too by Anthony Reid. Anthony, that was an absolute stormer of a race from 15th to second. Now, how difficult was it?
Very difficult because after practice I looked at the grid times and I thought I wasn't in for a chance, and I was very pleased to come up to second. A lot of back markers to negotiate and the conditions weren't ideal.
Did you have a lot of trouble getting through the traffic?
A bit of trouble getting through the traffic, but generally they were all looking in the mirrors and keeping out of my way, I think.
Julian, congratulations from all the BBC Grandstand viewers. You made it look terribly easy. How difficult was it?
Well, in the opening laps it was pretty difficult to judge how the track was, you know. There was a few wet pieces around over the place. The main worry I had was I thought I had a 10-second penalty. I saw somebody get a 10-second penalty and I thought it was me. So I was trying to get 10 seconds ahead, you see. So it was a difficult race.
Now, I noticed you had a very crafty demon tweak. Your team people came running out with warm tyres at the very last moment.
Yes, well, it's certainly an advantage in this type of weather because it's very cold. And we learnt this in the last couple of races, that if you have hot tyres, you gain an immediate advantage. So,
just as a matter of interest, what did they heat them in?
We've got well, actually in the transporter, we've got a heater in there, and we left them in there for a couple of hours and drove them down in the truck, so it was nice and hot.
To receive,
and so, to the victor, the spoils.
£1,000, and to receive the BBC Television Grandstand Trophy, which really is a splendid trophy, from our own Grand Prix racing commentator, Murray Walker. Congratulations, 3 wins, 2 second places, driving the Team BP Western Model Cars Reynard. It is Julian Bailey, ladies and gentlemen.
What a good winner too. convincingly out in front, 18 points clear. Anthony Reid in second place, Russell Spence third, Andy Wallace fourth, Martin Donnelly fifth, and in sixth place Tim Davis. And some names